As on many previous occasions, LH Monastery was once again filled with commotion that day. The people there had become accustomed to seeing restless spirits come seeking the abbot's help to resolve their lingering grievances. Located near BD Bridge in BD Commune, 2 Town, BD Province, LH Monastery was led by Venerable TGS, affectionately known to many as Zen Master ALH. He was deeply respected not only for his virtue but also for his extraordinary spiritual abilities. People often sought his help in resolving spiritual disturbances and afflictions. Besides caring for the monastery and teaching his disciples, he tirelessly provided spiritual healing to anyone in need, never accepting payment. Just as people with worldly disputes bring their cases before an honest judge, hoping for justice and reconciliation, tormented spirits have no such court to turn to. Ordinary judges cannot hear or resolve their suffering. Instead, these restless souls rely on compassionate and virtuous practitioners like Master ALH to free them from their anguish. That summer morning, the blazing sun scorched the land as everyone gathered around the tower dedicated to Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. The master guided a young married couple and the spirit possessing their friend K up the tower so that the conflict between them could finally be addressed. The harsh sunlight illuminated K's face, twisted with hatred. Yet it was no longer truly K's face. She was possessed by the spirit of a woman named Tu. This was far from the first time Tu had possessed her, causing chaos again and again. Exhausted and frightened, the young couple had sought the master's help, hoping he could summon Tu's spirit and settle the deep karmic resentment between them. Tu glared at the husband and wife with eyes burning with hatred as she painfully dragged herself step by step toward the Avalokiteshvara shrine. The couple dared not raise their heads. Filled with shame, they bent low and reached out, hoping to help her climb the stairs. "I don't need your help. Stay away," Tu shouted firmly, as though she could not bear to let the two despicable people come anywhere near her. She continued dragging herself up the steps until she finally reached the shrine. Standing before the serene statue of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, Master ALH gently said,
"Please sit behind the statue, where there is shade from the sun."
Once everyone had gathered, the master calmly asked for the full story. The young couple explained that over the past several years their family had been plagued by endless misfortune. Husband and wife argued constantly. For no apparent reason, the husband had grown to resent his wife. Their business ventures all failed. Every crop they planted withered. Poverty overwhelmed them. Worse still, their children had become rebellious, cursing their parents and even running away from home with lovers. Still borrowing K's body, Tu spoke with overwhelming anger. "I did all of that to them. Even their horse received more love and care than I ever did. I was a human being, yet they treated me as if I were nothing. They stabbed my legs with sticks. They forced my fingers apart until they were crippled. They smashed my back with their elbows. They tortured me over and over again. I knelt and begged for mercy, but they never stopped. They beat me until I died. I will never forgive them." Her words overflowed with bitterness. Hatred blazed fiercely in her eyes as she stared directly at the couple before her. Unable to restrain herself, even in the master's presence, Tu suddenly lunged forward and repeatedly struck the couple with her one remaining usable arm. Her other arm and both legs had long since been ruined from the injuries she had suffered in her previous life. Suddenly, Tu's furious gaze softened. Memories from her previous life flooded back, and she began recounting everything to Master ALH and everyone gathered around. In that lifetime, Tu had been a poor woman in her 30s who worked as a servant for a wealthy landlord's family. Knowing her humble status, she accepted the hard labor in exchange for little more than enough food and clothing to survive. During the feudal era, class divisions were deeply entrenched. Ordinary people dared not oppose influential landlord families, and even local authorities rarely challenged them. Whatever her masters ordered, Tu obeyed without question. Working alongside her was another servant named T. Day after day, the two worked diligently, faithfully serving the household. Yet peace is not always something one can choose. Such is often the way of the world. Those who are humble and patient are sometimes the ones most easily oppressed. Wealthy landlords in those days often held power over life and death. Whether they were right or wrong mattered little, for no one dared speak against them. The powerless could only endure their suffering in silence. Although Tu and Ti devoted themselves wholeheartedly to serving the family, nothing they did ever seemed enough to satisfy the landlord's eldest son and youngest daughter. These two children had been spoiled since birth. Their parents indulged every desire they had. Surrounded by luxury, dressed in fine silks, transported by elegant horse-drawn carriages, they lacked nothing. Having grown accustomed to being waited on hand and foot, they became arrogant and cruel. At the slightest annoyance, they mercilessly beat the servants without reason or restraint. As Tu spoke, her breathing became heavier. Her teeth clenched tightly as if grinding against years of buried hatred. Pointing directly at the young couple before her, she declared, "They are the very same people. In our previous life, they were brother and sister. In this lifetime, they have been reborn as husband and wife. I want them to suffer the same agony and misery that I endured." Though every fiber of her being longed to attack them again, she forced herself to continue her story. In those days, they would recklessly race their horse-drawn carriage down the roads without caring who stood in their way. Anyone who failed to move aside quickly enough and happened to bump into one of their horses would be brutally beaten. Their excuse was always that someone had hurt the precious horse. To them, the lives of ordinary people, even the servants in their own household, were worth less than the animals that pulled their carriage. Having grown accustomed to bullying others, they needed no reason at all. If someone merely displeased them, they would beat that person without hesitation. Tu paused before continuing. "One day, I accidentally bumped into one of their horses. Instantly, disaster struck. 'How dare you hurt my horse?' the young mistress screamed. 'Are you blind? You've become far too bold.' Snatching up a sturdy stick, she repeatedly stabbed Tu's left leg until blood poured from the wounds. The injuries were so severe that one of her legs became permanently crippled. But that was only the beginning. The young mistress seized Tu's fingers and forced him apart with such brutality that they remained permanently twisted and deformed. Meanwhile, the eldest young master was skilled in martial arts. Using tremendous force, he repeatedly drove his elbow into Tu's back. The blows severely damaged her lungs. He also struck her neck over and over, leaving her throat in constant pain. Every inch of Tu's body was covered in injuries. The agony became unbearable. She repeatedly knelt, pressing her forehead against the ground as she desperately begged her young master and mistress for mercy. Not once did they show the slightest compassion. It seemed that tormenting helpless servants had become nothing more than entertainment for the spoiled children of the landlord's family. At last, Tu breathed her final breath. She was beaten to death. Ti did not escape a tragic fate either. Not long afterward, he was forced to drink poison and died in great anguish. Even as she recounted these memories, Tu continued glaring at the young couple. From time to time, she could no longer restrain herself and rushed forward to strike them, trying to release the hatred she had carried for so many years. As the sun climbed higher toward noon, its heat grew increasingly intense. Everyone present felt profound sympathy for the servant girl who, in a previous life, had been hardworking, patient, and kind. Yet because she had clung to her hatred for so many years, she remained unable to move on, trapped in relentless spiritual suffering. But the story did not end there. Many people believe that death marks the end of all suffering, that every injustice is buried forever and every wrongdoing erased. According to Buddhist teaching, however, this is not so. Sentient beings have wandered through the cycle of rebirth since beginningless time, propelled by the force of karma. Every cause inevitably brings its corresponding result. If the consequence does not ripen in this lifetime, it will arise in another. After leaving their physical bodies, the spirits of Tu and Ti did not find peace. Instead, they wandered endlessly, following the wealthy brother and sister from their former lives, waiting for an opportunity to exact revenge. In Buddhist terminology, they had become karmic creditors, spirits bound by unresolved grievances. As the years passed, the landlord's children grew old, died, and were reborn countless times. Yet Tu and Ti still could not escape the realm of wandering spirits. Consumed by burning resentment, they continued following their former enemies through lifetime after lifetime. The inexorable laws of karma, rebirth, and karmic affinity kept drawing them together. In this present lifetime, the once spoiled brother and sister had been reborn as husband and wife. Naturally, Tu and T remained constantly by their side, determined to fulfill their long-awaited revenge. What had once been a conflict between living people had now become a struggle between the living and the dead. For Tu herself, existence after death was even more miserable than life had been. She wandered for years as a restless spirit, plagued by hunger and loneliness. Above all, the flames of hatred burned within her without pause, consuming her heart every moment. Rather than seeking liberation, she waited patiently for any opening through which she could destroy the couple's lives, hoping they would experience the same suffering she had once endured. How could she do this? According to Buddhist belief, spirits may possess a limited ability to perceive the thoughts of others and subtly influence their minds. When the couple's eldest daughter reached adolescence, Tu thought to herself, "This girl has just begun to grow up, yet she's already becoming infatuated with romance. Very well, leave home and run away with him. Let your parents suffer because of their wayward daughter. Go, follow him." Taking advantage of the girl's vulnerable state of mind, Tu continually influenced and tempted her until she eventually ran away with her boyfriend, leaving her parents heartbroken. The once kind and obedient child gradually became selfish, ill-tempered, and hostile. She quarreled with everyone she met, cursed her parents, and brought constant turmoil to the family. Yet Tu did not stop there. She also influenced the husband's mind, causing him to develop an inexplicable resentment toward his wife. Constant arguments and conflicts followed. She further obstructed their livelihood. Every business venture failed. Every crop withered. No matter how hard they worked, poverty remained the constant companion. With a marriage in ruins, rebellious children, and endless financial hardship, the family found themselves sinking deeper into despair. But all of this was merely part of Tu's ultimate objective. She wanted him to die. Once they too became spirits, she believed it would be far easier to continue taking revenge upon them. Yet even this plan did not unfold as she expected. A woman named Kay, whose body Tu was now possessing, entered the picture. Out of compassion for the struggling couple, Kay tried to help them, unknowingly interfering with Tu's revenge. Already consumed by anger, Tu became even more enraged by Kay's intervention. Although Kay had never harmed her, Tu saw her as an obstacle. Her fury grew even stronger, and she resolved to ruin Kay's family as well. Thus, the diligent and gentle servant girl she had once been gradually transformed into a spirit driven almost entirely by hatred and vengeance. Everything seemed hopeless. The young couple's marriage was falling apart. Their children had become rebellious. Their livelihood had collapsed. Kay's innocent family was dragged into the same misery, and Tu herself knew not a single moment of peace. Such is the endless cycle of vengeance. Hatred answered with hatred never truly comes to an end. Unless one side chooses compassion and lets go of resentment, everyone involved continues to suffer. By now the sun stood high overhead, yet the silence surrounding the Avalokiteshvara tower felt heavier than the summer heat itself. Everyone present reflected on the sorrow of human existence. A few moments of cruel pleasure in one lifetime had become the cause of immense suffering in another. After listening patiently to Tu's story, Master ALH spoke with both compassion and understanding. He gently encouraged her to forgive the couple, explaining that they had sincerely repented. He suggested that they shave their heads as a sign of repentance, make offerings on her behalf, dedicate a symbolic house and vehicle to provide her with a proper dwelling in the spirit realm, and perform many wholesome deeds whose merit could be transferred to help her attain liberation. Most importantly, the master promised to accept both Tu and T as his disciples, allowing them to remain at LH Monastery to practice the Dharma. Overjoyed by the offer, Tu repeatedly bowed before the master with heartfelt gratitude. "I could bow to you all day, master," Tu said earnestly. "But may I know your name? If anyone ever bullies me again, I'll know whom to call for help." The master smiled gently.
My name is ALH.
Tu's expression hardened once more. But I still can't forgive them. I must make them suffer the same pain I endured. The master replied calmly.
If striking him a few more times will ease your heart, then do so. But afterward, let your hatred go and come study the Dharma with me.
Tu shook her head stubbornly. No, I cannot forgive them. She was torn between two paths. Part of her longed to remain at the monastery and follow the master in cultivation. Yet another part still clung fiercely to the hatred she had carried for lifetimes, unwilling to forgive the cruel brother and sister who had once destroyed her life. After a long silence, she spoke again. Then they should sponsor an offering to the Sangha and dedicate the merit to me. I don't want a house or a carriage. If I accepted such things, it would only mean I was still attached to greed. I don't want that, the master answered gently.
They are struggling just to survive. Where would they find the money to make such offerings?
I still won't accept the house or the carriage, Tu insisted. The master nodded.
Very well, then let them shave their heads as an act of sincere repentance. They can continue saving what little they have, and when circumstances allow, they may make offerings to the Sangha and dedicate the resulting merit to you. As for now, you may remain here at the monastery. Every day you will listen to the Dharma and continue your cultivation.
As afternoon approached, a gentle breeze began rustling the leaves around the Avalokiteshvara tower. The shadow behind the Bodhisattva's statue gradually stretched farther across the ground, providing welcome relief from the blazing sun. Perhaps Tu herself had grown weary. For years beyond counting, she had devoted every thought to revenge. Hatred had consumed her existence, leaving her exhausted in body and spirit. Despite all her resentment, beneath the anger she was still the same unfortunate servant girl who had once endured unimaginable suffering. Quietly, she asked, So, Master, you'll allow me to stay here?
You, and T as well.
The master replied warmly.
I will give each of you a Dharma name. 2. From this day forward your Dharma name shall be NT. T. Yours shall be TT.
Then the master addressed the unseen Dharma protectors.
Guardians of the Dharma and heavenly protectors, please escort NT and TT to the ancestral hall and prepare a proper place for them to reside.
At that moment, something within Tu finally changed. For the first time in countless years, her longing to step into the light became stronger than the hatred she had nurtured for so long. She chose to forgive. More importantly, she chose to give herself the opportunity for a better future. The long night of vengeance had finally come to an end. A new dawn had begun to rise over her life. From that day forward, she would remain at LH Monastery, studying and practicing the Buddha's teachings under the master's guidance. Everyone present rejoiced that such a deep karmic grievance had finally been resolved. For the first time in many lifetimes, hope shone within Tu's heart, promising a brighter path ahead. How fortunate they were to encounter a virtuous monk with both the compassion and the spiritual ability to bring this seemingly endless cycle of vengeance to an end. But what about those who never have the opportunity to meet someone like Zen Master ALH? Is there any hope for them? According to Buddhist teaching, there is. One can sincerely repent before the karmic creditors, those beings who harbor resentment because of past wrongs committed against them. By cultivating virtue, performing wholesome deeds, and dedicating the resulting merit to these karmic creditors, one gradually repays old debts and helps ease their suffering. If this practice is carried out consistently, with genuine sincerity and perseverance, even deeply resentful spirits may eventually let go of their hatred, forgive, and move on. In truth, Tu, T, and the young couple were all victims of ignorance. Each was profoundly deserving of compassion. For lifetime after lifetime, they wandered in the darkness of delusion, unable to perceive the light before them. They did not truly understand karma, rebirth, or the consequences of their own actions. Unable to distinguish wholesome deeds from harmful ones, they also failed to recognize the path that could free them from suffering. Many people believe that in this world, the strong dominate the weak, or that death is the end of everything. Such mistaken views persist, until the consequences of one's actions inevitably ripen. By then, regret often comes too late. True happiness is never built upon exploiting or oppressing those who are weaker than ourselves. Rather, it grows from kindness, compassion, and moral integrity. That is the lesson the young couple needed to learn. The saying, an eye for an eye, or, in Buddhist terms, cycles of vengeance, is not merely a proverb. One lifetime, you harm me. The next lifetime, I seek revenge against you. Then in another lifetime, you retaliate against me once more. The cycle continues endlessly. When does it finally stop? According to the Buddha's teachings, there is only one answer: compassion. Compassion is the key that unties every knot of hatred. It means learning to extend goodwill even toward those who have wronged us. It means freeing not only our enemies, but also ourselves. It means forgiving the mistakes of others while cultivating our own spiritual growth. To cling to hatred is to punish ourselves for someone else's wrongdoing. That was Tu's greatest lesson. She had once been a patient, diligent, and humble young woman. Yet because she allowed resentment to consume her heart, she eventually repeated the very cruelty that had once been inflicted upon her. In trying to destroy the lives of others, she became little different from those who had once oppressed her. This story offers a key that opens the door toward the light. Yet possessing the key alone is not enough. One must also know how to use it. Likewise, the path may lie clearly before us, but whether we have the courage, perseverance, and determination to walk it depends entirely upon ourselves. Only through our own choices can we step out of the darkness of resentment and into the light of wisdom and compassion.